What is going on? All right. I'm always nervous, but I gotta imagine this is working all right. I'm having a streak. Good streak. Here we go. All right. Good morning, BK Dan, if you're still in there. Looks like I'm getting a little low on my vinegar spray bottle. Anyways, good morning. I'm Sean. This is Saturdays with Sean, where I stream, talk about role-playing stuff, what's new in the news, and what might have happened in the last week, and interaction with the awesome chat. Gamers X-Plane, Shane, good to see you guys. I'd like to start. Last time I think I started with what everybody was playing. So I think this time around I want to know your favorite class. Fantasy RPG class. What's your favorite fantasy RPG class? What's up, Roger? Favorite fantasy RPG class. Why do I have this picture on? Probably want that one. That probably helps. Monk. Really? Doesn't have to be. It could be from any edition. It could be from any fantasy role-playing game. If it's not D&D, the mighty D&D, if it's not one that I'm going to recognize, make sure you mention it. Paladins. Always a good one. The classic Paladin. The one where you'd had to cheat to become a Paladin because the damn prerequisite abilities were too crazy. Favorite fantasy RPG class. Hit it. Hit. What's up, Wayne? Hope you got home all right. If you are indeed not still traveling. Morning, Farty. Favorite RPG fantasy class. We've got Paladin, Monk. What else? What do you get? And if it's not 5th edition or D&D-ish, then make sure you mention the system or game. I think mine would be, I've always been partial to rogues, thieves. I don't know why. I think they're so diverse, and you can kind of play them any way you want. It would, but I would get bored of them if I played them all the time. Thief. Wayne says thief. Doesn't matter what edition. If you're thinking D&D, but whatever your favorite class is. Ranger. Harriet says Ranger. Yeah. It's been bitten by the Aragorn bug at an early age. Herman, favorite fantasy RPG class. Starts with 2 HD, baby. Yeah, good morning, Harrigan. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Ranger's solid. That was my first ever character ever in role-playing games was a Ranger. And Sean, not having been well-versed in what a Ranger was, he just thought it was a park ranger, forest ranger. So he didn't put the two and two together. Like, oh, park ranger, just a ranger. Like, there's a fantasy ranger. It's quite a bit more ignorant back then. Augie, you got to get out of here. Ranger is my go-to or warlock, Herman says. Farty, fighter or barbarian. I like to hit things in the game. Yeah, as soon as you said fighter or barbarian, it's all about smashing somebody in the face, as I would like to say. Shane says, a new one in my gaming world, the Sorcerer in Forbidden Lands. Ooh. Shane, how is that game going? I don't know if I've had an update from you. Dangerous, risky, love that stuff. Yeah, we've got our share of spell casting in Forbidden Lands. Mr. Harrigan has had his run-ins, and then now we have Wayne doing that. Herman says Ranger. I already mentioned that, didn't I? Herman. That's all right. All right. Yeah. Thief. Mine was Thief if you missed it. Thief or Rogue? Probably. I like them all. Honestly, I'm just that guy. I don't think I can ever always play the same class. Some of you that might know me probably can get a whiff of that stream of consciousness that I might have at times. Has to do with like some of the ideas I have and that never come to fruition. So I'm very squirrel-like. Squirrel or Doug the dog. No cleric. No cleric. No bard. I was never big on the bard. Especially since I had met it. I think the first time I ever saw the bard was in what? Wasn't it Dragon Magazine? Was that where its first appearance was? I thought it was. And I wasn't big on the bard. Thought it was kind of stupid. Now I just think that people that play him are stupid. No, I'm just kidding. Let's just insult just people in general. Having said that, my wife and I we're talking to a realtor later today. I don't know what we're doing, but we were driving around last night, and we were saying, can everybody leave the city and just leave your pets behind? Farty, you struggle with support PCs, bards, and clerks. Yeah? So you think they're support PCs? The bard, I could see. Cleric, yeah. Brett Pazinski. Morning. Good morning, sir. Clerics or mages? Mages, because magic missile. Yeah. Anybody, you ever play a cleric mage? Cleric wizard, multi-class? I did. I mean, hey, why not? Right? Let's get all the spells. Because all the spells. And then of course I was wondering, like, why am I playing a cleric wizard, keep saying mage, cleric wizard, right? AD&D days. And then think to myself, should I be dual classing? Right? Remember that? Like the difference between dual classing and multi-classing? The days of the D's and D's. Shane says, still working on getting my group on Bird. Most of my players' friends are much younger, stuck on the 5e at the moment. The struggle is real, my friend. The thing is with Forbidden Lands, and Shane, if you can get them on board, that's great. It's a leap, I think, for sure. I think I've mentioned this before. There's going to be some people that just do not like Forbidden Lands, and they may, not all, come from the 5th edition side of things. Just because it's a different game. You're exploring, and it's survivability. Like, it's survival. It's a survival exploration game. 5th edition is there can be some saga in that, right? And there's vulnerability in Forbidden Lands. Not that there isn't in 5th edition. It's just a different type, which we might even go into a little bit maybe today. We'll see. See about that. We'll see about that, buddy. One thing I'm going to be pretty ticked off of, and I didn't save it. God blast it all. You know what? I'm going to find it right this second. I don't know if we'll bust into it right away. You know, do you just break into the big discussion piece, or you kind of wait and then unleash later? I don't know. But I got this thing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think we'll get to it. All right. Okay. We'll talk maybe. We'll touch on that a little bit. Clerk was my first class. Clerk? Yeah. Do you remember his name, Wayne? Was his name like... Ever anybody have a cleric named Pope? Gamers Explained, Cleric Mage. 3.5 Mystic Thurge Prestige class. Yeah, Jeff, my buddy Jeff was, I think he played Mystic Thurge. Played one from level 1 to 17 or so. Was weak at high levels. Oh, interesting. Lucas, it's been a while, but hello. Lucas, you because you're late, we won't make you dance, but you do need to tell us what is your favorite fantasy RPG class. Can be from any RPG. Does not have to be from the D's and D's, but favorite class. We'll probably do favorite race next week, so study up, kids. Shane, regarding your FL actual play, love it, by the way, would you mind if I commented some timestamps on that vid? I would love that. I don't have a lot of the time to do that, and if you have, then knock yourself out, buddy. Seriously, I would really love it and appreciate it. I was telling the guys we just played Thursday, a great session Harrigan ran for us as we try to get to the Bitter Reach, and it was a good session, but we have a lot that I haven't put out. Like ever since he started earlier this year, playing every 2 weeks. I mean, I've got a few, probably 10 at least, to put out. I want to do it in audio, which is even more of a struggle. Morning, William. Favorite RPG class? Ged. To my shame, stolen from the Earthsea trilogy. Oh, Ged the cleric. Or is it Jed? I don't know. Guess it depends on where you're from in that world. Ged. What was my first ranger? Can't remember. I don't think it was Tempest, but I did have a Tempest. Where would I have stolen that name from? Anybody? Nothing like stealing the name from a book you never read. Actually, I think I read one or two. Orcus Dorcas, favorite RPG class, fantasy. Fantasy RPG class, let's go. You guys are behind. Tempest, yep, you know the deal, gamers. Yep, Tempest, last name? Do you know the last name? He or she probably knows the last name. Tempest, last name. Who are we kidding? Merkberg has the best classes. Gutterborn Scum, Fanger Deserter, Esoteric Hermit, Wretched Royalty, Heretical Priest, Occult Herb Master. Lucas, that's a hard one. I love Paladin or War Priest. Tempest was the god of war from Forgotten Realms. It was not I think Thieves' World was before Forgotten Realms. And I was not a Realms guy. And for next week, suggest against favorite race discussion. Oh boy. Thales. Tempest Thales, I believe, was his last name in the Thieves' World series. Tempest Thales. Yeah. Did everybody chime in? Orcus, Dorcas, where are you, man? You didn't chime in yet. Keep it score. We'll get started. Love swashbuckler type classes. You're the Three Musketeer guy. Big billowy hats, rapier, or rapier, or rapier, or rapper. No, it's not rapper. Do you have the like handlebar mustaches too on your guys? We are so funny. We're so funny. All right, let's get into some stuff, should we? All righty. Oh, what are we gonna do? We can go through the rigmarole. So let's start with some newer stuff. How about this? Start with this one. Free League, Freie Liga, Free League is coming out with the One Ring Ruins of the Lost Realm. An expansion coming this fall. Like the One Ring just got delivered and already has an expansion coming this fall. These guys are machines. They're a machine. I'm telling you, man, the reason I get the closest thing to Free League is probably Modifius in what they're doing, right? The different games, the similar system, and I have to sneeze. It's coming. There it is. Usually it comes in pairs, but I think that was a single one. These guys pre-ordered. Haven't yet to crack the One Ring. Look at this guy. Farty's. It's that. That's the free. We should call it. I hereby claim it the Free League. What is it? Oh, I had it in my brain and then it escaped. The Free League. Shoot. It's gonna come to me. They probably did mentor him quite a bit. They actually sold. Thank you, Shane. They actually sold a lot of Free League stuff through Modifius. I thought they were one and of the same company at one time. Anyways, we'll call the Free League effect. There, the Free League effect. We'll coin it right here. You've heard it here first. The Free League effect. Well, what's that? It's when you know you've bought something from a company and you enjoyed it and the production value is top notch. And then you, because of that, decided to buy another one of their games. And that happened to be top notch, high quality, awesome production value. And you appreciate it, even if you didn't play it. And then the Free League effect kicks in where they put out another supplement or another game and you purchase it sight unseen. Just take my money. Free League effect. Right? So Farty has demonstrated what the Free League effect is. Hasn't opened up the One Ring. Has purchased Ruins of the Lost Realm. Bam. No room on your books. Yeah. Good morning, Victor. Good to see you, buddy. Got to chime in with your favorite fantasy RPG class, by the way. You're late to class, Mr. Wyatt, so it's not your punishment. It's just the assignment. Yeah. So I don't have any. Who knows? Maybe I have no desire to pick up the One Ring. Tolkien's great. I just don't need another fantasy game. But Sean, it's not just another fantasy game. Fair. But regardless, I don't know. I've never picked up a Middle Earth. I've never picked up Lord of the Rings, role-playing, whatever. Insert Tolkien-based RPG here. I don't know. But having said that, watching the TV series, which I appreciate. That's my opinion. I like it. You don't like it? That's okay. It's okay. Hey. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to, but I do. Okay. All right. So Free League effect, similar to YouTube and TikTok, self-radicalization algorithms. Free League Man. Catch them all. Maybe it's Free League Ageddon? Free League Mageddon. I don't know. Anyways. They're coming out with it. Are you an adventurer who belongs to explore the lone lands of Eridor? Then rejoice, for today Free League Publishing has announced the One Ring Ruins of the Lost Realms set to be released this fall. Not next fall, not fall 2024. It's the very first expansion for the award-winning The One Ring, the official tabletop role-playing game based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. And I will say, if they kickstarted this thing and they put it out somewhere in the mix, they got a roadmap for some of these things. Because to put this out and then have some, like, you just got your copies, to have a book like lined up for release, which means they would have had to start making this thing probably, what, late last year, maybe early this year? I don't even know. In the westlands of Eriador, between the Misty Mountains and the Mountains of Lune, the hobbits found both men and elves. Indeed, a remnant still dwelt there of I can never pronounce all these names. Duendain, whatever. The kings of men that came over the sea out of Westernesse, but they were dwindling fast, and the lands of their North Kingdom were falling far and wide into waste. The region often described as deserted becomes a crucible for adventure. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. There you go. There's something to get your blood turning. Ruins of the Lost Realms is about to ship to Kickstarter. It was a Kickstarter stretch goal. Interesting. Let's see. What else? Boom. Look at that. D&D Blue Dragon Trophy plaque. Hand-painted wall-hanging trophy head coming from, I believe, WizKids puts this out. Yeah. So if you've seen, like, the Mind Flayer, the Red Dragon, I think they have a Black Dragon out. Now they're coming out with the Blue Dragon. Could you imagine having like a game room? These things are huge. I've seen 2 of them. I think I have a picture. No, that's the Beholder. Alex has, from Gamehole Con, has, I think, 2 of these hanging up in the game hole. They're big. This weighs 14 to 16 pounds. Can you imagine having a game room with like these, like, along the wall? Be fantastic. I want to say for the record though, okay? I just want to get it out there that I do not condone trophy hunting in any kind, in any shape, or in any form. But, and let's also admit that, I mean, this is pretty small for a dragon head. I mean, it looks like an adult dragon, but it can't be, right? It's too small. I mean, I would picture at least a blue dragon, you know, their head's got to be at least like, I don't know, 4x4, 3x3. Come on. So anyways, that's, here it is right above. There's the Mind Flayer. So they don't have a price on Amazon for the Blue Dragon, but they have, my cats are fighting, which means I might have to go up there. There's the Mind Flayer. And then that's $381. That's discounted by 15%. And then I did not know that they had the horned, this is something different though. This is not by WizKids. That's something different. What else do they have on here? There they are. Red, Mind Flayer, black. They have the Owlbear, and I've seen the Beholder. The Beholder's not on a mount. And that's big. Like it's big. It's pretty cool. The Beholder is 33 by 26 by 20. That's a big one. So I've seen the Beholder, and I've seen the Mind Flayer one. I did not know they had an owlbear one. $450. Man, that's pretty cool. So, when I'm making so much money that I don't even care about anything anymore, I'll just buy all of them. All right. So, hey, there you go. I did not know. When did that come out? I must be behind. Okay. So there's those things. You guys get the memo on this? I don't know if I ever went over the Origin Awards. Did I? Maybe I did. They're going to change them, apparently. So new categories added for artists and media professionals. Oh boy. Does that mean podcasts? Streamers? Some categories get streamlined. So Gamma, in case you didn't know, Gamma runs Origins. So the awards for 2022 will be announced at Gamma Expo 2023. These are the categories. Tabletop Game of the Year, Best Board Game, Card Game, Children's Game, Miniatures Game, Collectible Game, Role-Playing Game, Core Book, RPG Game Supplement, Game Artwork 2D, Game Artwork 3D, Best Game Review, Best Game Accessory. I wonder if the artwork if you'll be allowed to submit AI-based artwork. Oh boy. Ooh boy, that's going to get dicey. Ooh, wait till that hits the airwaves. Because that's already a thing. Like, people are super pissed off that people are submitting AI-generated art for contests. Ooh, I am not an artist, but I would probably be perturbed. Like, how will you know? Can you know? Especially in this digital age, what are you going to do? Submit it? How are you going to submit your artwork? In person? No, you're going to take a picture or something like that and send it, right? So how's anybody going to know? I don't know. Well, that's media, I guess. So the major changes to the awards from the previous revamping of the categories is the addition of 2 artwork categories. That's the new ones, 2D and 3D. And a Best Game Review category. The Best Game Review. Interesting. So eligibility is 2022 Origins Awards. It'll be from 1 January to 15 December. And then the submission window will be open from October 1 to December 15th. I got to be right back. I'm going to go and strangle one of my cats. And I probably said that on YouTube, and I probably shouldn't have. I'm not going to strangle them. I just need to break them up so they're not killing each other. I'll be right back. I swear. I swear. Do not go anywhere. All right. Back. Ref to the rescue. Augie likes to beat up Jumbo. Jumbo screams, which gets my attention. And then Augie looks at me and says, "Okay, you're here. I want food or I want to go outside." Anyways, where were we? Origin Awards. There you go. All right. It's here. It's coming. I asked about this in a stream months ago. I was on Twitter asking where it was. Pathfinder Kingmaker for 5th edition. It was kickstarted, I don't know, sometime in the distant past. and is finally coming. On the Amazons, it's at $96. Thing is a beast. 640 pages, I think I saw. Is anybody familiar with Kingmaker? It's all 6 chapters, expanded and updated for use with Pathfinder 2nd edition. Oh, my apologies. I thought it was for 5th. So I guess I was wrong. I thought the original Kickstarter was for 5th. Lucas, have you run it? Oh, now I'm really ticked. I guess I got excited for no reason. And it's by... Is it by Paizo? It's because the original Kickstarter was by like Legendary Games. You have run it. I heard it's a little bit of Excel spreadsheety, but it was the one campaign besides Rise of the Rune Lords that I kept for a while. I think I finally got rid of it. I don't have Kingmaker anymore. Because I figured I wasn't going to play Pathfinder, so it's never going to see the table. There is supposed to be a 5th edition version. Yes, like by Legendary Games, I think they were the ones that were supposed to do it. They were teamed up. And the only thing that you can really find on it, Kingmaker RPG 5e, is news articles like it's coming. And then if you find... Oh, wait a minute. There is a Pathfinder 5th edition. See? Well, that's the bestiary. Dudes. PF2. Like, okay, so you have a 5th edition Kingmaker bestiary. Why would you make... And it says bought together. So you can get this now? Oh, it's pre-order. Dude, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Am I wrong? Like, where is the 5th edition version? They have the bestiary. And they have Pathfinder 2. Dudes, help this crazy guy out. Here's the conversion for 5th edition, Kingmaker, 5th edition conversion notes. It's getting Legendary Games. Here is probably like the big, hey, here we're doing a Kickstarter. Nope, that's not the right page. Maybe it's in the mix of somewhere in here. Oh my God. Oh, there. Kingmaker, 10th anniversary. It's like a $300,000 Kickstarter. And then it says you get picked. I don't know. It says, of course, Legendary Games also is partnering with Paizo on their amazing Kingmaker Adventure Path project for both Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition and 5e. If you haven't checked out their crowdfunding portal for this amazing project, head over to Game on Tabletop for the Kingmaker 10th anniversary project and help push the project to $300,000 and beyond. You pick up the PDF versions of the Forest Kingdom campaign compendium as part of your pledge for $5. Blah, 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 blah. And of course, you can pick them up right here anytime. When was that dated? There's no date on this. Did they just update one HTML page? This is driving me nuts. Nope. What is up with that? And then pick them up here, right? Anytime. Forest Kingdom. Is that it? No. Yeah, River King's Adventure Path. You guys are probably like correcting me and I'm not even looking. What the hell? I'm why do you guys make everything so hard, RPG world? Why? The Hex Crawl was fun. Thanks, Lucas. Was fun, but the kingdom management was not. I heard it got into pretty crazy Excel hell. There is a supplement book for 5e for it. It swaps out the monsters as you go in the book, the main adventure. Oh. So you get the Pathfinder adventure, but you play 5e, use the 5e bestiary? I don't know, Orcus. Dude, you're the YouTuber, man. Why don't you look into this stuff? Help me out, Orcus. Oh man, I thought it was coming. Like, dude, I thought it was 5th edition. One of these, like this middle one, Kingmaker Adventure Path. Dude, I am lost. Here, where's the Kickstarter? Here. Is this the Kickstarter campaign? No! Oh, yeah, it skips. Ultimate product line. Murder. Forest Kingdom. Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was like, hey, we're partnering with Paizo and we're going to do the entire Kingmaker Adventure Path for 5th edition. We're going to put it out as a hardback and enjoy. What is up with that? Oh. Well, I guess I got excited over nothing. What's this? Maybe this is it? 2016. 2016. Legendary Games announces their partnership with Paizo on the Kingmaker 10th anniversary. The project will is it still 10th? I don't like that seems weird. The project will include expanded hardcover compilation of the Kingmaker Adventure Path, Kingmaker Companion Guide, Kingmaker Bestiary for Pathfinder 1st Edition, and a Kingmaker Bestiary for 5th Edition. I guess I was wrong. I should have just read the finer print. I apologize. So I have been holding my breath for the wrong thing all this time. So you're right. There was no 5th edition Kingmaker. It's just the bestiary. Bummer. This whole time I'm like, oh, cool, 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 cool. When's it coming? When's it coming? People are like, what are you talking about, man? So I guess the 5e bestiary is coming. 5e bestiary is coming for 5th edition, and that's what you use. Ag. So I got rid of my stuff. I would have still needed it, and I would just have to pick up this book to run it. Oh. Bummer, as we say in French. Oh well. You need 2 books, at least. So you'd need the original, right? Which is going to run you $96, which for 5 96-page books, I mean, it's the arc, right? So I guess, and it's a beast. And then you would need the bestiary for 5th if you want to do it, or you just run it in PF2. It is a cool, I think one of their best. I mean, it's always been, so for those not in the know, it's always been touted as one of the best campaign arcs that Paizo's put out. You are basically, there's an area of Galarian that hasn't been explored. It has been explored. They call it the Bandit Kingdoms kind of thing. And people have gone in and, nobody's really laid claim to the land. And you have a patron that's bestowed upon you a writ that you go in and explore it and claim it. And so you start out first level and then you start literally building your kingdom, which is pretty cool. Like, that's the goal. And there's things I think they put into play as far as rules, and I think Lucas could probably correct me if I'm wrong, where, you can influence the how you put your kingdom together, kind of. Maybe you want to make it like Sleazy Town, or do you want to make it, um, a kingdom of righteousness, and then how you do that and the things that get played a role in that, and then people in your party end up becoming like, I could see it becoming very Game of Thrones, where you have your right hand, the hand of the king, and then you have your council, right? Because probably all the player characters, throwing some NPCs. Oh well. I mean, you can still do it with any other role playing game, I'm sure. But, anyways, so there you go, Kingmaker. Dang, I was wrong. Was wrong. I don't think I'll probably get to it. I'm gonna get to this later. There's a teaser for you guys. What else did I want to go through? So Gamma, we went through. Pathfinder. Okay. Why don't we get into Booger? Booger. Let's, I guess, oh boy. We could do this. I don't want to get into too much of this. This. Thanks for the folks at EN World. I should have probably put links to everything I just went through, but I apologize because, of course, this is the Wizards of the Coast requests injunction against new TSR. So the TSR that is new TSR is still going, and doing their thing. The legal team for Wizards of the Coast filed a motion for a preliminary injunction against TSR LLC, Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum LLC, and Justin Lanassa on September 8th, 2022, to prevent the publication of Star Frontiers New Genesis. And like Orcus Dorcas says in the chat, dumpster fire segment. Yeah. So if you're really interested, you could read of all this good stuff and some of the commentary that goes with it and what's going on. I did this a while ago and kind of went through legal attorneys' tweets on reading the brief that was new TSR suing Wizards, I think, at the time. And that was a complete interesting thing. I wish those guys would just go away and never come back. Yeah. So if you're interested, the only reason I bring this up is because it is kind of, news-ish, and they won't go away, and they're still doing their shenanigans. And one thing to keep in mind, right? Regardless of who they are and what they're doing and their whatever, right? Their thoughts about the hobby and stuff. And I say thoughts about the hobby because the Dungeon Hobby Shop, puts it right out on the front door of their store that says, like, hey, we play old school, and if you don't like that, go somewhere else. I know there was something specific about the type of play or something, like, anyways, it was a shot. It was definitely a shot. But what people, I think, don't realize is that copyright or trademark stuff really is to help the consumer. It's not to yes, it's to protect how is it not protecting IP? But it is to help understand that if there is a knockoff, right, or somebody infringing upon that copyright or that trademark, that I, as a consumer, know where to take my beef. So it's supposed to help that, right? If you're a lawyer, you know this. It's probably like Legal 101. So that's something to keep in mind. so what happens is, say anybody could come along and say, well, I'm going to create Dungeons and Dragons. Me as a consumer, I buy this thing that's not the real Dungeons and Dragons by Wizards. And, for whatever reason, I need to address something as a consumer or where's the confusion? I don't want confusion on who do I go to air my grievances, right? That's kind of the point of copyright. They could say, nope, that stuff belongs to them. That's who you should go after. I'm butchering the shit out of that legally, and I'm not a legal professional. But anyways, if you're interested in getting this skinny on what's going on, one of the things also that has come into play, I think, somewhere in this is trademarks can lapse, right? So if people don't renew them, extend them, use them, and it's like typically using them, I think, right? So if you have like Star Frontiers as a D&D, as a brand, and you have property from Star Frontiers and you're Wizards of the Coast and you own it because you've bought TSR originally, TSR Inc., not TSR LLC, TSR Inc., and you just sit on it and you don't do anything with it, it can be considered abandoned. And then you can just say, hey, I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to run with it because there's no claim. The claim has lapsed or there hasn't been anything done with it. So Victor says it's to protect the consumer from false IP products. There you go. Thank you. Very succinct. Thank you. So there's some of that in place, and it should be known about this because you could come across Star Frontiers and be like, oh, great, cool, I love Star Frontiers, and not realize that it's not made by the people that you might think it's being made by. Because you would say, oh, yeah, TSR, original, purchased by Wizards. They own it. Wizards must have put that out. Wrong. So that's all you have to say about that. You can look at all this stuff and understand what's going on. The saga continues. It's a circus. There you go. That's all I have to say about it. Mm-hmm. Augie, you need more food? Easy, you fat. Here. Come here. Augie's hungry, ladies and gentlemen. All right. That was that. And I want to... Okay, here was the Kingmaker. So this is all the print news, I think, from Ian World. Thanks, Ian World. Check out Ian World for all your RPG needs and news and updates and everything else that's going on. They talk about the one. Okay, so, and they probably explain the whole Pathfinder Kingmaker here. I should have probably just read this. Whatever. The One Ring, Origin Awards. That's it for Digest. That's TSR. Let's get into RPG print news. First thing is this cool bag. I have a cool bag I haven't used in 3 years because I haven't gone anywhere to play an RPG. I've only gone to one place. So, RPG Adventures bag, $150. Pretty cool. There is another one on Amazon that looks almost exactly like this, but it's just brown. I've had my eye on to put in your books and stuff. Just these things get so bloody heavy. Like, can you imagine putting all your books in this thing? Thing's gonna weigh like 50 pounds. I'm old. I can't carry things. I gotta get a little cart. Put it on. Put some wheels on it. Looks cool. It probably stores a butt ton of stuff. There you go. Till Death Do Us Part, Adventures with Heart for 5e. That's a supplement coming out by EN World Publishing or EN Publishing. Lost Omens Character Guide, Special Edition by Paizo. It's Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Lost Omens is a campaign arc. You got your son that version of the bag for Christmas. It's a cool bag, yeah, I'm sure. Got a lift, bro, for sure, Lucas. Bro, do you even lift? No, bro. I do not, obviously. Lost, Shadow of the Sorcerer, The Age of Conan. I think it's been talked about before. It appears to be available now. The Shadow of the Sorcerer and the Age of Conan. By Modifius 2D20. If you want a review of that, check out our very own Gabe Dibbing on our Discord. He will give you the lowdown on all the Conan's 2D20 RPGs. Crawling Death, Below the Dying Forest. For Merkberg! Lost Omens is a campaign setting book. Nice. Merkberg, hardcover Merkberg supplement. $30 US. $30 US. 55 room ever shifting dungeon of Crawling Death. Of course it's Crawling Death. Randomly generate their dungeon and include specific rooms using 4 distinct adventure hooks, or include all 55 in an ongoing Mega Crawling Death campaign. Of course it's a death campaign. Goblonia. Gesundheit. Bless you. By Wicked Clever. System unique, hardcover rulebook, $50. Story-focused role-playing game about the hijinks of modern-day goblins pushing back against the rotten, evil patriarchy. Set in the ramshackle city against the backdrop of an absurd war, this is a game of secret rebellion, chaotic missions, underhanded exploits, risky adventures, and random explosions. PCs create goblins, build a crew, and smash the patriarchy. Goblonia is what you put on a sandwich, right? If it says Victor. Goblonia. Yeah. Fantasy Trip. Fantasy poster maps. Spiral Arena playmat style A. Spiral Arena playmat style. Wait for it. B. Octopus Lair playmat style C. Rumors and Treasures Decks of Destiny Newness box A. Decks of Destiny Newness box B. Fantasy Trip. Have you guys played Fantasy Trip? I have never played Fantasy Trip. I haven't played a lot of games, but never played. But Fantasy Trip's been around for a long time. All the stuff's here that you can get now from Uncle Steve. And that last package there. You know what I love? The high-res pics. the nice resolution marketing pictures. Oh, man. Wayne played Fantasy Trip? Really? So is it a lot like GURPS? Right? GURPS came from the Fantasy Trip, right? So it's like 3D6? Victor didn't. Yeah. Well, and all fairness, it wasn't like I knew Fantasy Trip growing up. I never heard of it until recently as well. Go figure. I wonder why. Wayne played Melee and Wizard, or if you're talking to 12-year-old Sean, Melee and Wizard. It is the it is the successor to GURPS. Let's see. What's up, Hoos? Morning, buddy. Glad you could make it. Hoos, favorite RPG fantasy class. That's what you gotta. That's the price of entry. Favorite fantasy RPG class. So there it is. That's all the print. The print news. Fighter. Who's Carl? Fighter. Sword and board. Yeah, that's what I. Okay, not successor. Progenitor. Yeah, precursor to GURPS. That's what I thought. That's all right, though. Okay. Should we go into crowdfunding? Let's get into crowdfunding. Amethyst is, again, like, I think this has been on here 3 times now. Okay, so the Canadian, $75 Canadian is the popular pledge. You get all kinds of stuff. This is a 5e piece. Yeah. Bullets and bleed throughs. 5e role playing game. 5e role playing game. Huh. Interesting. D&D 5th edition is the rule set. Source book, $28, PDF and POD. 230 pages, sci-fi Weird West. So this is like the movie, what? Aliens and what the hell was it? Spaceships and aliens? Spaceships and cowboys and spaceships? Spaceships and cowboys? Daniel Craig. AKA Shotgun. Oh, that's not Shotguns and Sorcery is by Forbeck. That's not, I don't think it's the same. This is by Outland Entertainment. Cowboys and Aliens. Thanks, Sarrigan. Jeez. I have not watched it. This world feels like The Dark Tower meets Mad Max. It's based on Jason Fisher's Papa Lucien, the Bone Man, from the Books of Before and Now series published by Outland Entertainment. So if you're looking for something Stephen King meets George Miller, this may be for you. It's fun. What? It was at a $300 goal. That's funded. $1,700. All right, 3 days to go. Grab a copy. Micro Dungeons. Not to be mistaken for Micro Machines. Micro Dungeons Anniversary Edition from ND Hobbies. 5th edition. Adventures. This stuff could come in handy. Need something quick. 40 pesos. For 3 PDFs. After a year of Micro Dungeons released on Kickstarter, Indie Hobbies has a print book compiling all the prior dungeons. Over 50 dungeons, 120 monsters, plus scalable options. You'll get a lot of combats from this book. In addition, they're offering more Micro Dungeon books, including one themed around dragons and another for wizards, each featuring their lairs. So if you need encounters and monsters for your 5e campaign, this will fit the bill. It is funded at 28,000% of goal. 28,000% of goal. Wow. Okay, sweet, man. Tome of Quests by Pacesetter Games. For, wait for it, 5th edition. And BX. And BX. Okay. BX people, hello. OSE. $45 is the popular pledge, keeping with the theme of adventures returning to print. They dug into their vault to refresh 5 of their original adventures, each redone for 5e and BX. Designed to stand alone or weave together. There is no end of stuff. No end of adventures. No end for encounters. Levels 1 through 7. Funded. A lot of these are like 3 to 5 days left on the campaigns as of this recording. Eldritch, the Book of Madness. For 5th edition. From Black Vault. funded. £50 for shipping and handling for the PDF and print versions. It's the popular pledge all the kids are getting in on. Offering rules for madness and addictions that the characters will pick up as they encounter profane monsters, spells, and dreadlords. This book is over 300 pages of rules governing the dark side of facing fantastic beasts. There you go. Blazing Worlds presents Black God's Kiss. RPG adventure and micro game. Is that a box set? It is a box set. Ooh, risky. It's for 5th edition and OSC. OSC, people. $89. It's going to include books, maps, dice, and minis. You'll face the Black God and worse in this dark corner of the universe. While this may appear to be another project that offers 5e or the SOSR system, excuse me, thank you. Plus the rules for losing humanity and surviving an eldritch pocket dimension. It has a pedigree inspired by C.L. Moore's Gyro of Joyery. This project licensed the character, bringing her world to the setting and reissuing her fiction. Standalone game for 2 players. Looks pretty cool. Jonathan Nelson. Roltmork. 5th edition adventure module, $129. For print versions of the boxed set. Another box set from AAW Games. So at Gen Con, the author of this article from EN World spoke to Jonathan Nelson and Zeitgeist about the project. It's an epic adventure for levels 5 to 7 with difficult battles ahead. You're hired to investigate a spire and its water clock, but beware the cults of the stagnant land. These creators and his concept intrigues you. Check out the campaign page for a free preview download. It's not funded yet and has 1 week to go. They're short by about 10 grand. They need $825 per day for the next week to get that. Ooh, so close. Nebula Chaos from Polyhedra Games. Core rulebook. $10 for the PDF. From the creator of Justice Velocity, Nebula Chaos brings over the top pedal to the metal sci-fi action to the gaming table. Space opera that pulls from all of the action of Star Wars, Firefly, Mass Effect, Halo, Futurama, Dune, and so many more. Do you guys think that if you say Star Wars, Firefly, Mass Effect, Halo, Futurama, and Dune, is that a good thing or a bad thing in your brain? I don't know, Victor. Going back to the pace setter, I'm not sure. Box of Kleenex and say it's 5e won't reach its goal. Only one way to find out. Yeah, kitchen sink, bad, right? Like, how do you put, oh, Futurama and Dune, cool, all right, yeah, right up my alley. This is just like Star Wars. Got it. I like Star Wars. I will buy this. I'm being a little facetious, of course, but, you know, if you like Isaac Asimov's Foundation, Star Wars, and Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're going to love this game. Wait a minute, what? No talk of the Expanse. Bam. Lucas. Too funny. Too funny. You guys are hilarious. All right. Level up. That's the end world stuff there. Funded in 10 minutes at a 10,000 pound goal. That's pretty good. Remember, Americans, pounds, it's more expensive than the dollar. Last week I talked about this project for Morris and the team. It's worth repeating. Level Up Advanced 5e is one of those systems that scratches an itch for players looking for more crunch in their fantasy RPGs. I would be interested to find out how Level Up goes up against Pathfinder. Seems like that's kind of the niche, right? But I hate Mass Effect. Do I get a discount? That is all from crowdsourcing and all Kickstarters, mind you. Like, Kickstarter seems to be getting on the press here, guys. You guys looking at Indiegogo and whatever else stuff is out there? What's the other one? BackerKit? BackerKit's got some out there, I bet, that they're not including here. All right. There you go, gamers. Yeah. Yeah. So does that mean the pound is tanking because it's becoming closer to the dollar? Because the dollar's not all that great either, right? That's right, Victor. Good educational tip. Remember, Merkins, pounds are not just a unit of weight. And stones just aren't rocks. They're a unit of measure. 2, I guess. I don't know. I got nothing. All right. I saw this on the Twitter. They did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. Now, the tweet that I saw was I want to see if I can. I want to see if, no, that's not, I thought there were more. No. Well, maybe, hold on a second. No, that's a thread. There was a retweet. It's just showing mine for some reason, quote tweets, where it was like, they did it and you fell for it. And I'm like, what did I fall for? And they did it on purpose. You guys read this thing? This is Ivory Tower Game Design. I don't remember. I don't know. Let me see. Ivory Tower Game Design, Monty Cook. Oh man, that's this. What's funny is I'm gonna go to every one of these, and it's not gonna be to the original article. So my question is like, where did Monty post this? Right? Because here it is. It's getting buzz, man. So another thing to bring up. Let's see if I can. Maybe the Alexandrian did it. Here's the web archive. So Monty Cook. Hey. Of Monty Cook Games, formerly of Malhalvik Press, formerly of Wizards of the Coast, formerly of ICE, or Iron Crown Entertainment. Monty, one of the key designers, along with Jonathan Tweet and Skip Williams for 3rd edition. Monty used to do a journal. And somebody has a lot of time on their plate to come up with some of this stuff. Like, who sits around digging this crap up? I don't even see a date on this article. This is literally 2008. The copyright is. I don't know if, I guess maybe February 2008 looks like, from the Wayback Machine is where this is posted. Came up, people are like, I see, look at this. They purposely designed 3rd edition like this, and now it's coming out. And then, of course, well, they are continuing that tradition with 5th edition. There's people that are like, I have to apologize to my players, blah, 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 blah. So you're probably wondering what this is all about. I'll read you the article, and I'll put the link to the actual article on the Wayback Machine. Because to me, this is, it seems as though this is an epiphany of some kind. That, look, this lost archive has finally told us the design goals of 3rd edition. And all of us were ignorant of those. And now that it's come to light, look at this. It was never meant to be a role-playing gaming like this, like we assumed. They purposely designed it to be like this. The nerve. And which is fine, I guess. Like, all right. But does anybody that's ever played 3rd edition or 5th go, I can't believe all this time it's not even playing it wrong. It's the expectations maybe that have been all off. So if you remember, AD&D 2nd edition was the last edition that TSR Inc. put out. And then they were bought, they're dire straits. Wizards of the Coast came along, bought TSR. And somewhere from 2nd edition to 3rd edition, Sean was out of the hobby. And when he came back, a friend of his that he grew up with said, hey, we should play D&D. It's changed. There's a 3rd edition. It's a D20 based game. You roll high. Everything's roll high, beat a target number. It's a little bit more intuitive than some of the older games. Or AKA makes a little bit more sense. Whatever. Does anyone really care? Well, fair, Victor. But nonetheless, does anybody care? It seems to be the case, because when you search for this thing, it's on 7 different websites. Like the Alexandria's talking about it. It's on Twitter, Reddit. It's not that those are, it's not the be all end all, but I don't know to what end, right? Yeah, okay, it's come up several times. Got it. It's new to me, or is it? I don't know. Maybe I read it in 2008 and I just forgot. I don't even know. Okay, big deal. So when we designed 3rd edition, I'm bringing it up again, right? Let's rehash this thing from 14 years ago. When we designed 3rd edition D&D, people around Wizards of the Coast joked about the lessons we could learn from Magic the Gathering, like making the rulebooks or the rules themselves collectible. Damn, I got another cleave. I'm still looking for the ultra rare Great Cleave. But in fact, we did take some cues from Magic. For example, Magic uses templating to great effect, and now D&D does too. To be clear, in this instance, I don't mean templates like Half Dragon, so much as I mean the templating categories such as fire spells and cold using creatures, then setting up rules for how they interacted so that ever contradictory rules for those things don't arise again, as they did in previous editions. Bear with me. This is time where you can go get a drink, tune out, come back if you've already got this hashed out and have heard this thing. Magic also has a concept of Timmy cards. I'm Magic ignorant. All I know is it's a card game there's combinations. There's obviously rares and commons and lands, and it's been around and nobody's dethroned it, and it makes billions of dollars for Wizards. So there you go. Magic also has a concept of Timmy cards. There are cards that look cool but aren't actually that great in the game. The purpose of such cards is to reward people for really mastering the game and making players feel smart when they figured out that one card is better than the other. While D&D doesn't exactly do that, it is true that certain game choices are deliberately better than others. So you could start, by that statement, you could start seeing the rub some people are going to have. Thanks, Farty. Okay. I think it just warrants, I think it's good conversation. Like, oh, interesting. I mean, for us that like the history of the hobby and why design comes into play, and this is really what it comes down to, is design. Because I think some people are like, oh, it's design, like, oh, okay, they put it together and we play it. But there is more than that goes into a game. There's a design. Like, what are you trying to facilitate? And this is, I think, some people's rub. Because they think it was probably designed to be like, cool, and this is the way it is. And then Monty puts this out there in 2008 about, well, we were actually considering elements from Magic so that we can make this particular type of game and facilitate a type of play. But people are like, you're not, there's something wrong, right? Like, anyways, continuing on. Toughness. Okay, yeah. So D&D doesn't exactly do that. It is true that certain game choices are deliberately better than others. Like, there is paths. Like, when Doc would tell me, you're making a fighter and you don't have power attack, what are you, an idiot? Like, he's like his, you know, I could say, well, that's not the type of player, like the type of fighter I want to play. But this article will say, Doc's playing the game the way we intended it to be played. And I would be like, well, that's not how I want to play it, right? So there's a conundrum there. And if I'm in Doc's group, he'd be like, you're picking the wrong combo. So you're going to be less optimal. See where this is going? All right, toughness, for example, he continues, has its uses. But in most cases, it's not the best choice of feat. If you can use martial weapons, and a longsword is better than any other one-handed weapons. Let me rephrase that. If you can use martial weapons, a longsword is better than many other one-handed weapons. And so on. There are many other far more intricate examples. Arguably, this kind of thing has always existed in D&D. Mostly, we just made sure that we didn't design it away. We wanted to reward mastery of the game. Who's always pulls out the corporation of the hobby. And that's another thing too. I talked to Brett a little bit because there was like, there was some talk on our Discord about one D&D comment and is going to ruin the hobby or not. And, can we just establish one thing? Wizards' whole purpose is to make money. It is corporate. That's the deal. It has employees. It has shareholders. It's publicly traded. That's the deal. We just have to acknowledge that. And if they create something that doesn't sell, that's a problem. It's not a hobby to Wizards. It's a business. Soapbox. I need a step right here so I could just step up and go my soapbox. Continuing. There's a third concept that we took from Magic style rules design, though. Only with 6 years of hindsight do I call the concept ivory tower game design. Perhaps a bit of a misnomer, but it's got a ring to it. This is the approach we took in 3rd edition, basically just laying out the rules without a lot of advice or help. This strategy relates tangentially to the second point above. The idea here is that the game just gives the rules and players figure out the ins and outs for themselves. Players are rewarded for achieving mastery of the rules and making good choices rather than poor ones. Perhaps as is obvious from the name I've coined for this rules writing style, I no longer think this is entirely a good idea. I was just what is wrong with me? I was just reading a passage from a recent book, and I found it rather obtuse. But it wasn't the writer's fault. He was just following the lead the core books offered him. Nevertheless, the whole thing would have been much better if the writer had just broken through the barrier this kind of design sets up between designer and player and just told the reader what the heck he was talking about. To continue to use the simplistic example above, the toughness feat would have been written to make it clear that it was for first-level elf wizards, where it is likely to give them a 100% increase in hit points. It's also handy when you know you're playing a one-shot session with first-level characters, like at a convention. You sure don't want to take item creation feats in such an instance, for example, right? At a convention, you're purposely making your 5th edition, 3rd edition, D&D. You're not going to give them some meta magic crap that you're not going to use in a one-shot 4-hour game, right? Okay, that's me. Ivory Tower game design. Ivory Tower game design requires a 2-step process on the part of the reader. You read the rule, and then you think about how it fits in with the rest of the game. There's a moment of understanding and then a moment of comprehension. That's not a terrible thing, but neither is just providing the reader with both steps, at least some of the time. So while there's something to be said for just giving gamers the rules to do with as they please, there's just as much to be said for simply giving it to the reader straight in a more honest, conversational approach. Perhaps that's what the upcoming D&D for Dummies book will be. I hope so. Victor says, I prefer making suboptimal D&D characters. And that is fine. The beef that people might have with that is if you're in a game group that's like, wait a minute, why are you creating your tune to be like that? That isn't going to help us. Are they wrong? No, it's like, what type of game are you wanting to play? So who says it's design, but also corporatization of the hobby I mentioned? Herman says, I met a GM that played statting out his PCs from level 1 to level 20, even if the adventure didn't make it that far. So they had a roadmap. The corporate roadmap. It's the build, right? Gamers Explain. This is a whole conversation about game balance as a vague goal rather than engineered to be exact. Victor says, I want an interesting character, not a clone. So somebody would say, Victor, an interesting character like Brett's buddies, right? They play OSR and then they want to play Pathfinder every once in a while. And the reason the Pathfinder appeals to them, according to Brett, was that it gives them the options to be different. Like if we play a group of fighters, nobody's going to be the same. They're all going to pick different feats, different archetypes, backgrounds, whatever. So the customization that comes with that allows them to flex their differences. Not wrong or right. It's just their preference. Use the front camera for soapbox. For sure. Good point. Wayne says, game mastery is definitely a big deal in D&D. I think players are unaware, but there's many aware or not who love it. And the secret to that is understanding who you're playing with or who's running the game or what that's supposed to be like. Like that is session 0 baseline stuff, right? Victor says that design method definitely reinforces the living RPG model. The more optimal your characters are, the better you do in living con games. Dorigo, good morning. We're just getting into this. And by the way, the entrance to today's stream is naming your favorite fantasy RPG class, Dorigo. Gamers Explain, game mastery itself creates loyalty. If you, yeah, indeed. If you switch to, say, Shadowrun, you are going to have to invest all that time to master the new game. Bah, stay with D&D. I think you hit it on the head. When all these folks are just livid that 5th edition players, game masters, who typically play 90% 5th edition, don't want to learn a new game, this is what it's about. For sure. Gamer. Bam. Gamers X-Plane right on the head. Game mastery. Like, we talked about it and how, we've talked about game mastery. We hear it in podcasts and how it's a thing and you need to know all the rules and the nuances and how the certain combinations go into play. And dude, this guy is far from that when I play my RPGs. I got to look up rules for games I've been playing for 4 months. And I'm not just saying like, this is a weird situation, we haven't had this happen. I'm talking about something that's just this, okay, how does sanity work in Delta Green? Like, okay, immune to helplessness and immune to violence. And then if they take so much, then it triggers something. I have to remember, like, okay, I should probably look that up. And I've been running it for like 2 months. So, it's for sure. That's what it is. People don't want to admit it. It's your game mastery. I don't want to learn another rule set. Well, this rule set it's not as complex, but I already know this one. And the type of play that it provides is all about, like, if I know the mastery, I know all the rules, I can put the combinations together the way I need to, and then move forward and be successful. Your game may have less rules, but I still don't know what that looks like. I don't know. It's like the best deck in the con CCG competition, for sure. Tune, not a tune. There you go. Wayne says, I also think it's an artifact of complex X game design, not a true design choice. Complex game design, not a true design choice. I don't know, dude. I don't know if something's so you're saying maybe this all came out as a byproduct. Yeah. Oh, there's wrong and right. Gabe. There's Gabe. Good to see you, buddy. Gabe's a cleric. One of the few. Oh, you're the only one that said cleric. Gabe. It's good to see you, man. Victor says, I'm not a fan of the wrong and right way to play games. It feels minimizing and exclusionary. Oof. Victor says, the people who take that thought process serious really irritates me. And that's okay. You don't want to play with them. Dorigo says, wait, fave class for D&D. I'm team Eileen Paladin. Okay. Gotcha, Paladin. Somebody mentioned that earlier too, Paladin. Farty, agree. Rules Light still requires an adjustments to the style of game. Yeah. That's why sometimes when you talk about Forbidden Lands, OSC, all that stuff, there's no clear path. What are the rules? Well, it's Rules Light. What does that mean? Or it's player skill versus what your character can do and your skill list. But your skill list is based on proficiency bonuses that are based on the class. And so I'm going to be inherently better at certain skills than others because it probably is inherent to the class that I'm taking. And that's what I'm trying to do within the game. And it's going to give me a better chance or an edge. How does that work with the OSE? Oh, so it's more abstracted. Like I tell you and I talk to you and you go, okay, based on what you're telling me, then okay, because you're a gong farmer, you would know this. So you don't need knowledge gong farming. It's in your background, or you tie it to what you think would be justified because you are Wizard, you are fighter. Fighters would know martial stuff. That's to some folks, man, that's like, what? Record scratch. Farty says agree. Rules light. Yeah, an adjustment. Okay, gamers. Are they afraid of making bad choices because they don't know the pitfalls / poor options? Maybe. Player skill versus character skill. Nice wording. Yeah. Well, I mean, then that's the thing, gamers, right? A lot of the OSE stuff is like about gamer skill. Meta gaming is, certainly not a big deal in a lot of those circles. I guess it depends on the style of play. Victor says, to be clear, we're talking about games. Games have rules. You play a game to win, and if optimizing is built into the rules, optimizing is how the game should be played. And how does that come into play? It's by design. Purposely. Like, what are you trying to achieve in this game? It's not even that. As a player, I play a character. What are the goals? The question is like, what do I do in this game? What do you do in Call of Cthulhu? What do you do in Delta Green? Like, what is that? Tell me about that. Well, and then it's always from the player perspective. This is what you do in the game, or what happens, and what it is about. And it's from that perspective typically, right? We're not usually going, well, as a handler, this is, as a keeper, I provide a situation that's usually about horror and suspense and da-da-da-da-da. No, it's about the experience the players are going to have. I'm going to run around myself in circles here. But anyways. Well, okay, so they do that. How? How do they, how does that take place? How do I win or survive? Wait. Orcus Dorcas. So you are saying a corporation optimized their game design to establish and maintain their fan base to ensure their spending habits are entirely focused on them? The audacity. Eye roll. Yeah. I know. Twitter's Twitter, man. This is going to get, whatever. It all comes down to play. Play the games that trip your trigger. Yeah, for sure. Players who are good at D&D don't typically like other games that don't have optimization built in. It's really hard to get a D&D player to just try something else, in my experience. It's because of the game mastery. I sincerely believe that. That's what I believe. I think it is all about game mastery. We can talk about anything else, but I think it just comes down to game mastery. They know the rules. They know what they do. Whether there's if it's optimization, it's tweaks, it's the character sheet. I know I've read the player's handbook. I've looked at all the different classes and the different races. We're going to sit down and play. I know what I have to do to make sure I survive. And that may go afoul. I may get my hit points knocked down to like 0. I might have, but I get 3 death saves. And the way that works is if I, roll a natural 20, I make 2. So I know that. Oh, you want me to play Dungeon World? Oh, okay. Well, what's that about? It's fantasy. It's like D&D. Oh, okay. Great. Here's your playbook. Oh, okay. All right. So I get to fill in the blanks. Got it. And it's all about moves. And it's all about the narrative. Okay. Like, no mastery. Now, there is a chance that people are going to play in a Dungeon World game and they're going to it's going to be fine. They're going to grok it. They're going to love it. They're going to check out other PBTA games. This isn't like a hard, it's not a silo with concrete walls. People cross over and venture into other games. Most of us have, at some degree. But if we get frustrated at 5th edition players that are in that space and they don't want to leave it because they just have what they consider all this investment into one game, they don't want to learn a new one. This is probably the reason. Like, it's game mastery. They've interpreted the rules, or they can take the rules. Like Monty said, they could always be written more clearly, like saying toughness, if you're an elf, would double, 100% hit point increase. Oh, that's different than just leaving it a little bit more vague. I think a lot of people are scared to switch systems because they do come from D&D Pathfinder and think, I'm not learning all that shit again, not realizing how much easier it is to pick up a rules light system. For sure. But let's face it, it's game mastery. I think it's a root cause. I think if you boil it all down and you boil all the crap out of it, at the bottom of the pan is game mastery. It really clicks with a lot of people. For me, it's not game mastery. My preference is characterization and emotion. I want tough choices and strong emotions. And nothing wrong with that, for sure. Barty says it makes more sense nowadays because so many new players are casual gamers. Learn one set and that's good for my RPG fix. Yeah. But they also have game mastery, even if they're a casual player, because it's the only game they know. So they have more game mastery than a game they've never played before, one could argue. So yeah, man. Yeah, baby. They did it on purpose. Dragon Kobold. Those dirty bastards. For years, I assumed that D&D 3.0 was like this by accident. Nope. I mean, I guess one could design a game and then realize, oh, they're using it like that. I never thought that I would go that route, right? Like the one thing, with Shipman, I haven't plugged Shipman's show for a while. Third Floor Wars. So when he interviews game designers, there's always a question he kind of poses to them about, okay, you tell me how this started, right? And he kind of goes through the evolution of the designer's journey. And one of the things that he brings up typically is, okay, what is one of the things that you did not foresee happening with your game? Either like even going as far as what was not in the original game concept that you ended up putting in there and realized, oh, this doesn't work at all, or it works really well or better than you thought, or other things you've seen from outside of your game where people are using it that you never anticipated. And I think maybe to some degree, people could say that there was intentional design and then there was maybe some byproduct of through play that they didn't consider. So that I can understand where this might be coming from just a little bit. There's not a ton in this thread to kind of like, I didn't listen, and I did not read all of the comments on this thread, but it was just like the nerve of designing it purposely in this way, and I'll give Dragon Cobalt a plug. So he or she is doing did that copyright over? Hold on a second. Just want to make sure I'm linking to he or she's got a Google Doc. So if you want to check out what they're doing, yeah. since they're getting some traffic on this tweet. There are 30,000 feats you could choose from now, and we really think that rewards knowledge of the system and definitely does not gatekeep new players at all. So then I have seen comments about, like, does this contribute to gatekeeping? There was another one. Oh, there was another article. Where was it? Like, oh man, I wonder if I commented on it. It would be in my Twitter stream, but it was something to the effect of how the grognards were really killing D&D or the RPG, and there was a written account of it, and that's why they changed things. I'll tell you what, gamers. It may be a term that is not some people may not be a fan of, but I'll tell you what, you can. I've come across that it's really ridiculous. It gets really stupid. I am not a big fan of the word. I'm not a big fan of it, but there is some people like it's like right in your face. It gets kind of ridiculous. But it's kind of strange. We can get into that all day. Like, just go around the gate. I think it's people have to realize there are shitty people in every hobby. They just have to understand that that's the case, and that not the entire hobby is not infected by it. It's not everybody, and it's not everybody of a particular group. It could come in all kinds of different ways, shape, or form. Joseph on here says, this kind of thing I hate about tabletop game design. The idea that creators determine what the better or worse ways to play classes, weapons, etc. The game should be fun for everyone, and I never want to play a character that's a min-max. So stop punishing me for it. What if I want a one-handed weapon that's not a longsword because I think it will be cooler? Why punish me for not choosing the weapon you think is cooler? That's bad game design. Is it bad game design? I don't know. It may be cooler, but you're not going to kill I don't know, maybe you can't. If you take like a shitty weapon and it looks cool, but you try to use it on a great red dragon, maybe the effect isn't there. See, it's kind of strange. That's a strange one. Like, you could say, well, if I'm wielding not even a two-handed longsword, the two-handed sword. What is it? Right? Isn't that the big one? Like D12 of damage. You got to wield it with two hands. Not the broadsword. Isn't there a two-handed sword, right? Like, and you hit somebody with it. I guess it depends on whether you're going for like simulation or not. Right? Because my dagger's really cool, but let's face it, like, is it going to do as much damage as a longsword? I guess it depends on where I hit the person. And if they're not wearing armor. Ooh, that's a noodly one. Okay. And would that person benefit from playing OSE or an old school game? Like, a lot of this goes back to play. Like, are you playing the right game? Are you playing the right game? Should we be playing 5th edition if we're not a fan of the design and what it is facilitating for play? Zool, zool, zool. Zool, zool, zool. Are you the gatekeeper? That's classic, man. That's the comment of the day. You have to go into any hobby with your eyes open for the people who don't want you there so you can avoid them. For sure, Victor. Agreed. Orcus Dorcas, you are gatekeeping by definition of gatekeeping, Sean. You, Bill Gates of gatekeepery, gatekeeping, gatekeeper of gates. I am. Stay out of my hobby. Stay out of my hobby. Really? Yeah, but are you a real D&D player? How long have you been playing? I saw a tweet. When did you start playing? 1980, man. 1980. So does that, that gets under my skin. I don't know why. Like, why does that matter? Does it matter? Does it matter to you? I've been playing since 1980. How D&D I started with Tiny Wars. It's weird, man. It's weird. It's not bad game design. It's intentional game design. Right. It's a feature, not a bug. Right. What about cultural weapons? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Throw that into the mix. Gabe, if we want ultimate balance, I guess we go back to white box and all damage is 1d6. Well, sure, right? Everything does the same damage. Great sword. Ugh, farty rule. Great sword. 2 hands, 1d12. I'd take it because I didn't understand why you wouldn't. That was AD&D. Why would I take a longsword? That only says 1d6, small to medium. Longsword do 1d8, large. Because some of those, like, I think it went down, right? Dagger, 1-4, small to medium, 1-3 on large. Could be wrong, but I got the philosophy right. Bad game design is slung around willy-nilly as well as something someone just disagrees with. Yeah, the game sucks because it's bad game design. Oh, is it suck because it's bad game design, or you just don't like the play? You don't like what it's facilitating? It's okay, just like, let's figure that out. Hernmester! Weapons and armor matter. Who's a Harn guy? Harnmaster dude. Gamers explain, what is this? The Forge weapon stats can be a function of game design or a simulationist goal? Yeah, this is the Forge, man. We're making a comeback. Bring it back. Hey, despite all the wankery on the Forge, there's a lot of stuff that came out of it that makes sense. And whether we want to participate in the discussion or not, it's, it can affect the play. And the thing is about this, like this, all this, you just throw it away. Just sit down and play. But then maybe there's a problem and we don't know what it is. What's the problem? I don't know. I can't stand it when this guy comes in and, has the great sword and just kiboshes everything. They got like 1,000 hit points. Why don't you like it? It's not I don't know. I want to talk, negotiate. They're always wanting to try to kill things. Is it the game master? Maybe they're running it in a different way. No, they're a good game master. Well, what's a good game master? I mean, it's just on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on. I only really think a game is poorly designed if the rules do not reinforce what the designers say the game is supposed to do. It's like playing that Dune Star Wars Futurama game. Yeah. Right? This game is fast, furious, and fun. Now here's your Excel sheet. For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very true. Like, that's where stuff's like, wait a minute. It's fast, furious, fun. Savage Worlds, hey-oh. But then, you're playing tactical war games. Like, what? And let's face it, Savage Worlds was miniatures. Fast Furious fun. Oh, I gotta put miniatures on the table. The Forge brought out a lot of cool things, but you have to dig for it through all the cruft. Yeah. Right. Put the guy with the greatsword in a 5-foot passage. Yeah. Well, that's the argument in the OSE space. Like somebody actually said, I thought it was on Hobbs. Hobbs and his podcast had somebody on there, and they were talking about all the weapons that did the same damage. And he's like, and they were like, well, you just have to, there's a reason why you want to take a dagger and not a sword. Because if you're in a 5-foot passage and you got a longsword, I'm not letting you swing that thing. And if you swing it, you're going to have to do this. So, you know, the swinging and the bashing and the slashing, that's going to do, yeah, you can do all the full damage, right? You're doing your sword moves. You got the full open area to do it. So it gives you the big momentum, not a 5-foot passage. So I'm going to nerf your damage. Does that say that in the rules? I doubt it. Doubt it. But it's a, hey, this makes sense. I'm going to adjudicate that. Rulings over rules. Bam. Well, better go to town. If we're going to be in this place, I need a dagger, something shorter. Yeah, so if you take, like, say a longsword is doing 1-6, and you half it because you can't swing it around, and a dagger does 1-6, and you don't have to, and it does full damage. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, all right, sure, that makes sense. All of a sudden, the frickin' wizard with the dagger is doing more damage than a fighter. What? Just hope they don't get hit. Weapons were designed for different purposes. Would rather see the 5-inch situation. That 5-foot passage would be really messy, but 5-inch passage. Oh man. It was like when this thing hit, it went bonkers. And I think it was like somebody retweeted this or that. Oh, they got you, they duped you, and all along you guys, you know. And there was tweets like, I owe my players an apology. And it's like, I mean, come on, did you not think that 3.0 and up to 5e was not about like making the right thing to do the most thing? Like, not, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So anyways, I thought that was it just interesting, like many things, and wanted to bring it up. I was and am famously a non-optimizer, not on purpose, really. I just always wanted to make my character for RP purposes and didn't care so much about min-maxing. Yeah, I could have been much more effective, but then again, I didn't care as much about that. I think there's a lot of people that can empathize. It's more understandable to optimize somewhat in D&D because a flat D20 is huge, unpredictable, expanse of numbers. Optimizing is less important in games with tighter mechanics. Finding Ivory Tower game design problematic requires that one keep a static, universal, and objective rubric of character value. Unlike Magic the Gathering, D&D is an adventure storytelling game and not a competition. There's no such thing as a quantitative superiority inherent to the game. Ooh. This is not held for basically any D20 game I've ever played. I play a very standard bard who has fun character hooks. Another PC was an arcane trickster who had dedicated their life to the art of killing. Guess which one of those characters got to do cool things? We made the game bad on purpose because we think you're shit. School of Game Design. What the actual hell? The thing that always baffles me about 3E and its successors is that the goal as a player seems to be building a character so broken that you don't actually have to bother playing the game, as you just trivialize whatever that character is meant to do. That attitude is really common amongst players I knew of that era too, and I'm always curious which one was a response to the other. Same. I cut my teeth on 3.5 and it took me a while to realize that min-maxing wasn't the only way to play the game. I took a look at some of the old climate books, Stormwrath, Frostburn, and found the options were flavorful, fun, and neat, but I never gave half of them a look. The climate books are some of my favorite. Hold up. They actually wanted min-maxed characters and rule lawyers as players? WTF, man. I don't know. Wait, is this why we have a huge subculture of people in gaming who want literally nothing explained to them, even if it means an objectively less smooth and enjoyable experience? On one hand, I believed for years this was post hoc rationalization for squatting out a terrible game due to deadlines / lack of skill / whatever. On the other hand, sure, Cook is so bad at game design, maybe he did convince a team of people to pants themselves entirely on purpose. Right. As I've said, how WotC behaves RN right now is how they've always behaved. They're just succeeding this time. And people ask why I didn't like 3.5 / Pathfinder 1E when 90% of the game was scouring through dozens of source books to find the most OP option / item / spell. Yeah, it's not a game for everybody, man. For sure. Yeah. It's, I don't know. Realizing half the game isn't worth dealing with equals game mastery it's an approach, I guess. I knew 3.5 was loaded down with wasted words, but this really does reveal the fucking scope of it. I think this actually bled over into PF1 a bit. That's hilarious. I think this actually bled over into PF1 a bit. Yeah, that was by design. Bowman in particular was responsible for excessively hamstringing every martial class he could get his hands on. Well, it's Pathfinder 1 is 3.5, 3.75. Come on, man. I often consider that RPGs are part board game and part storytelling. Lots of people just want a tactical combat simulator, and game mastery is a reward, not a problem. Says Gamers. Explain. Victor says, Cook is definitely not bad at game design. Just look at the games. They are cohesive. They do what they say on the tin, and they have lasted the test of time. I've never worked for a game company. I've never designed a game. And armchair about all this stuff. And some of you might have been involved in playtesting. I think I've been involved in playtests, but not to the degree that some of these like conventions might, or ash cans or open games on demand at Gen Con might have some that are involved, and then there's the what's the damn convention that does a lot of it? Escapes my memory. Anyways, point is to be in a room to figure out how things are debated and analyzed and determined, whether it is subconsciously or was Monty, Skip, and Jonathan sitting in a room realizing a lot of this ahead of time as they were doing the game according to the ivory tower design? But we're not there to, because these guys, I'm sure, got really passionate about certain things. And there are things that I know that Monty came up with for 3.5 or 3.0 that never got admitted, and it's probably in some of his games now. Like, he probably wanted to do X or Y. He was part of the 5th edition design, and then he departed. Like, that made news. Monty Cook is no longer part of Wizards of the Coast in the 5th edition design team. What? Fast forward, Cypher System, Numenera comes out. Some of these guys, they are on hills battling for certain things to be in the game because they think it's going to make a better experience or facilitate a certain experience. Better to them. And then the people that would argue against it would say it's not better. Theirs is better. Tomato, tomato. It all depends on what side of the fence you're on. I just would find it hard to believe that some of these, like even, Jason Cordova and some of the products he makes, like Trophy, like, and, things are so super intentional. Where was the interview that Craig did with Band of Blades? I was going to grab it to get the author's name. They say, well, he says in the interview, people have come up to him and said, well, it's like got kind of a mortality rate. And in that game, you play different roles. Like, you have your main character, but if you're not in the scene, you're playing other NPCs and things of that nature, or other members of the brigade or whatever, right? I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing, but there's a lot of people that lose their lives as characters in that game. It's part of the deal. And they said, can you make it so it's not so, the lethality rate isn't so bad and the mortality rate? He's like, no, because if I do that, you're not playing my game. Later, Orcus, then you're not playing my game. That's what makes a Band of Blades. Like, you could take it and do it yourself. No gaming police, right? Yeah. Surprised gamers think that design choices are unintentional. Oh, they must never have seen this coming. I think there is probably some hindsight where they could say, well, we could have fleshed that out. We could have certain examples. We could have phrased things a little differently, because there's some ambiguity in the verbiage, but design is not, I don't think it's that. If it gets lost in that, then maybe there's a problem, but I don't know. Anyways, we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to hang it up. All right. Thank you for everybody. Hold on, one last thing. Here's one more last thing. There's this one. Wow. On the one hand, I owe my here it is. This is the one I read. I owe my optimizer friend an apology. he was just following how the game was designed. On the other, flips table over the ivory tower design philosophy. No wonder I hated running 3.5. They intentionally refused to tell you how it works. Everyone is so mad. This one right here. What? How could you not gather that from 3.5 if you played it more than like 5 sessions, 4-hour sessions? You're going to realize kind of how it's like, wow, it kind of does this thing. That's probably why some of us have moved on from it. That's okay. Anyways. Hey, Ty. Didn't know you were here all the time, man. Anyways, thanks for showing up. If you have the time, do me a favor and hit the old thumbs up button. Thanks to these folks for help supporting me all the time. Have a good weekend. Do some gaming. Read a good game book, even if you're not going to run it or play it. Take some time to yourself. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. Catch you next week.